All right, IELTS speaking test. Okay? I'll try to be quick. So prick up your ears, try to follow. The speaking test is separate from the 3 tests that we had. You first start with listening, then you move on to reading, then you'll have your writing. Speaking test depends on the country. Some places, a few days before the test, within a week. Some places even a few days after the test, but usually before the test. Now in Canada, usually the day of the test. Okay? But after you're done with the test, you go outside, you wait, a few hours, between 2 to 5. They give you time, so you'd be here by 3:30. Now, always be in much sooner. Why? Because like 30 minutes, 45 minutes sooner, because sometimes they do a faster job, they finish up the interviews faster, so they call your name. Well, if you're around, you can do it. If not, well, you have to wait your turn, right? Now, of course, there are things you have to do before the test, but first, what is a speaking test like? What does it contain? What is it all about? How long is it? How many parts? The speaking test is around 11 to 14 minutes. It's recorded. That basically means you open the door. When they call your name, you move in with your passport or your PR card or whatever you have, a picture ID, which is either a passport or a PR card. We'll say you move in with your passport. You just sit down. There's a guy sitting there. And, well, I'll talk about this in just a bit from here on. Hold it here. Talk about the components, the parts. So he has 1, 2, 3 parts. How long? 11 to 14 minutes. It's not exact, like 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. Not very exact. It's not like TOEFL. TOEFL, there's the recording, there's a computer, and the computer is recording. So IELTS is not like that. There's human contact. You see somebody, you shake hands with somebody, and it's much better. In TOEFL, when you're taking the test, 1 minute. If it's 1 minute, doop, 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 and it's over, and you better. And even if you talk, nothing happens. So in IELTS, part 1 of the test, general questions of familiar topics. What are familiar topics like? Talk about your hometown. What else?
Studies.
Talk about your studies. Talk about your work. What do you do? Who are you? Your family? Yeah? And that'll be general questions. Hometown studies, work, free time, family, timing, neighbors, things like that. Food, dreams, magazines and newspapers, humor. Questions like what? Like, I'd like to ask you some questions about your hometown or city. What type of place is it? What was it like growing up there? Has it changed much since you were a child? Like that. Or your studies. What are you studying? What did you choose? Why did you choose that particular subject or course? What job would you like when you have completed your studies? When you have finished your studies? Work? What do you do? What do you enjoy most about your work? What are your main duties, responsibilities? And is there any other work you would like to do in the future? So these types of questions. Well, we do have a number of sample ones. Try to work on those. But then you move on to the next part, where you're given a card. A card with some questions on it. Usually 3 questions. The card is like this. And I'll show it here. It's kind of larger than this, but something like this. See? You have okay. So, describe a lake, a river, or sea you have visited. You should say where the lake is, how often you have visited it, what activities you do there, and finally explain why you like this particular place. A lake, that's not a very good. Now this one. Describe, let's say, a present. Describe a present you were given. You should say who gave you the present,
what kind of present it was, how it compared to other presents you have been given. Not you have given, you have been given. And explain why you decided to give this particular gift. Well, if it's a present you gave someone, describe a present you have given someone. You should say who you gave it to, what kind of present it was, and how it compared to other presents you have given. Explain why you decided to give this present, this gift.
They may also ask you about describe the best gift you ever got. Okay? So, if they ask you about the best gift you ever got, that's a different story. So, these questions that you're given a card, you have more time, and you have to speak more details, right? With more details. That's why you have the questions, like 3, 4 questions. Why, where, who. So, for this part, what do? You take notes. You're given questions on a card, 3, 4 questions. Your best friend, say who he is, how long you've known him, why you consider him to be your best friend. Okay? So 3 questions. You'll be given a card and a minute to take notes before you speak. We'll talk about this a bit more, how you have to do it, what the techniques are. And of course, right after this part, there's another part. The examiner will ask you a couple of follow-up questions on the same topic. Same topic. So if it was about a friend, then goes on asking, what qualities do you consider, what qualities do you think a good friend should have? Who's a really good friend? And do you think you're a good friend to your friends? Things like this. It goes on and on. Some deeper analysis. That's more than just, hello, how are you? Tell me about your hometown. It's a bit more. You want to see whether or not you can argue, you can have some logic and support where you have to say things of that nature. Okay?
So, on
this note, now I want to move on to the golden rules. So basically I want to wrap up the format of the test and then tell you exactly what you have to do, how you perform, how you prepare yourself before the test, and on the day of the test, how you perform, and how you can hopefully ace the test. So, once again, 3 parts, 11 to 14 minutes, not exact. You'll be waiting outside, wait for your time, you'll be given time to actually attend the interview. It's one-on-one. You enter, there's somebody sitting there, maybe a man, maybe a woman. And then there's a recorder. The whole conversation is recorded. The test has 3 major parts. The first one is general questions about familiar topics. The familiar topics are like your home, town, your family, your job, your studies, even your own home, your own background, who you are, introduce yourself. The second part, they give you a card with some questions on it, more detail. And the third part would be some follow-up questions about that card. More details. And more, let's say, argumentation on your side that is trying to support your opinions and whatever you have to say.